Good morning and welcome to Sunday Coffee. Today I have a very special episode for you. It's my first artist interview, and this will be the first video on YouTube to be published, as well as the audio on my buzzsprout website. So today I have Brandi Long. She is a professional artist with a master's degree in art from Florida International University and also a graduate of the Portrait and Figurative Art Academy at FIU. Brandi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to talk about my practice and my body of work.
Oh, that sounds great. I'm so looking forward to this interview. Let me ask you first, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a professional artist.
Well, I started making art when I was around, I want to say 15 years old. My parents had me move to Tennessee when I was in high school, so I was going through a rough patch in my life at the time, and I used art as a form of therapy for myself because it seemed to be the only way I could get out what I was feeling inside. So what turned out to be what I thought would be a hobby ended up being something I fell in love with, and I ended up going to school for and eventually making art, not just for myself, but for everyone else as well.
So where did you go to school at for your bachelor's degree? You have a BA in art. How did you come by that?
I have a BA in art from FIU as well. I transferred over from Miami-Dade Community College, where I got my associate's degree, and I continued at FIU to get my master's in fine arts, which I just graduated recently in April with, which is
Oh,
super exciting.
oh, congratulations. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot of work. It's not for the faint of heart. Um, Doing your MFA thesis show is stressful, but well worth it in the end.
So let me ask you too about you were also in the Portrait Academy. How did that influence your art and make it better or enhance, or what did that give you as an artist?
Um, well, when I first applied for my MFA, I did apply for painting, because that's what I mostly did. However, after my first semester in the program, I took a fibers class and I really fell in love with fibers and mixed media. And that's where eventually my art practice has taken me. Not that I dislike painting now or that I'm bad at it or anything like that, but portrait and figurative art it really helped me understand form and shape and how I can use paint to create a more realistic scene. And it was very educational. And I love to paint still, but my practice now is more mixed media and fiber based, instead of painting. But the portrait and figurative art is definitely a fantastic program to get into if you're looking to go into a more realistic, painterly, traditional style.
And you did a show, right, with Professor Chang
Mm-hmm.
at Bus that was pre-pandemic, and
Yeah.
that was really awesome. Can you tell us more about that?
I've actually done two shows with Professor Chang. The one pre-pandemic was I showed five pieces, and they were part of my drifting series. And it was their mixed media sculptures that I made about specific species that are native to Florida. Um, and I used pieces of found driftwood and upcycled materials such as like toilet paper rolls and plastics to create these little moments that maybe we could walk upon in nature. Because my whole body of work really surrounds this idea of reforming that connection and relationship to nature. That way we can continue it for future generations.
It was very well crafted too. Your techniques were really, really good. I mean, it just looked beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, how did you learn like these techniques to or come up with your inspiration to put certain pieces together? I'll put links down below to your artwork so
Oh
people can
yeah.
see it.
So I started off with fibers, and I mean, I've always loved all these different mediums of art, right? Like from the beginning, from high school all the way up to my MFA program, I've dabbled in painting, I've dabbled in ceramics, fibers, sculpture, and coming into my 2 final years at the program, I was like, I want to use it all. Like I can't just stick to one. My hands want to be working in everything. So I use embroidery a lot in my pieces because I like the process of using your hands in a very mundane but intimate and repetitive way. Like I feel like it makes it very personal to the piece. And the same process with working with clay. You're using your hands, you're molding it to what you want it to be. So I feel like you're embedding a piece of yourself into whatever it is you're making because it's so personal and how you're touching it, you know? So I think that's why I lean more towards mixed media now because I love all these mediums and they all add such a delicate and personal touch to the final artwork that I think is really important to create this full picture and this full moment of what I'm trying to do through my practice, you know?
Well, I'd like to now that sounds like it's pretty involved, and I can see I want to tell everybody about I want you to talk about your little studio you just built here, in your backyard. It's on Instagram, and I saw it kinda, like, building up.
Yeah.
How did you if I want one, how do you do it? Tell me
Well, it's a process. I do have many videos that I did post on Instagram showing everyone little by little how I was coming along with it. And I haven't done a final reveal or anything just because it's after graduation. I was trying to decompress and relax, but it started off in January. I was coming to the end of my MFA and I was going to lose the studio at FIU because, you know, they give you one for your program. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with all my things? Where am I going to store everything? I was freaking out. And I looked at a lot of different options. Like I looked at residencies, which are all up north, which is really far from me because I live in South Florida, which is near Homestead. I looked into renting spaces in like um, plazas and stuff, and it's just so expensive in Florida. Um, so I was like, well, let me look at sheds. So I was like, because I can put a shed in my backyard. So I went into some shed places, and they ran me quotes from $6,000 to $8,000 for a 10 by 10 shed, which is it's fine. That's doable. But they told me it was going to be 6 to 8 months to get the shed, and I was like, that's a really long time. I need the shed now. And since I've had a little bit of experience renovating houses in the past with a friend up north in Tennessee, so I was like, well, it seemed easy enough up there. They can do it. Why can't I do it? So I was like, I previously had a concrete pad in my backyard that was 6 by 6. So I was like, let me just extend it to an 8 by 10. And if I can do the concrete pad, then the next week I'll try the frames for the walls. And if I can do the frames for the walls, then the next week I'll try the windows. And the next week I'll try, you know, I just did it by baby steps. And if I figured if I could do each step, then I can keep going. And eventually I got a full structure and it
Did you have
worked.
a help did you have a helper?
No, so my sister sometimes helped me like lifting up things when they were really heavy, like the walls. And I did have my brother-in-law install the electricity, but everything else I wanted to do by myself as much as possible because it was really important to me to know that I could do it by myself. Like I didn't need anyone. Um, just as, you know, woman empowerment and stuff like that. And I did it. I can literally say I built a baby house. It's got windows, it's got doors, it doesn't leak, has AC. So, I mean, I'm happy with it, really. The only thing I didn't do in the end was put installation and drywall, but that can always be added later.
Okay, so you have the I see the basic frame
Yeah,
what you made.
I have basic framing and exposed exterior walls.
Uh-huh. Well, it's It's in South Florida, so it's just all you need is air conditioning.
Yeah, and I have a little window unit. It's been doing pretty good so far. We'll see about more in the deep summertime, but for now it's working.
And so, how is it now that you've gone through the process? How is it working for you? What are the pros and cons? What did you learn?
Um, I learned building a house is backbreaking labor for sure. I would not recommend it for anybody. Like it hurts. I don't know how construction workers do it. Um, Looking back at it now, I feel like I should have went a little bigger, but it's okay. It'll work for now. It's not going to be my forever studio, even though I've really tried to make it my own. Um, I don't know. I think there's a lot more pros than there are cons. I mean, I'm right at home, so whenever I feel like coming out here, I can. So it's not far, which was a big deal for me because looking at residencies, I really don't enjoy driving. So driving up north every day to go make art seemed daunting to me. So it's nice to have it right just a walk away. I'm surrounded by nature. I can plant as many trees and flowers as I want because I'm really inspired by bees and butterflies and caterpillars. So it was really important for me to have a lot of windows in the shed. So I have 3 windows, and even my door has a window there on it. So that way I can always look out and it's always green. I can always see the sun. I put a little doggy door for all my animals to run in and out. So that's really fun. Um,
Does your well? I know. Well, we'll talk about the pets. That's a good idea. My kitty cat always like to come in and out and join me. She likes to go in and out.
Yeah, I have a lot of pets, so they like to come in and out a lot.
Well, what was your MFA show? Oh, I noticed that it was very organic, and I okay. Everybody knows on my show that I got my master's degree in landscape architecture, and
Hmm.
then I joined all of you over at the studio at the academy, so I could learn how to draw
Yeah,
and paint. And but obviously, I like flowers and organics.
yeah.
And um, so what did you do? What was your inspiration? How did you come about doing your whole MFA show? How does that work?
So my MFA show was really the culmination of everything that I've learned throughout my life so far. Um, I've been through a lot of things already in my 28 years, unfortunately, but it's really taught me a lot about life and what's important and things that we should value. And so for my MFA show, when I was coming up with the pieces, um, nature has really been there for me in ways that are really undescribable. um, it's really brought me a sense of peace and balance and harmony in my life. So I really wanted to create pieces that were kind of like a thank you to nature. So even writing my MFA, my thesis paper, it was I named it my love letter to nature because each piece was really an intimate moment that it not just reflected on how we need to reform this relationship with nature and how it's important for the continuation of our environment, but it's really a self portrait of how we or how I view life and how each piece kind of talks about slowing down, enjoying the moment that you're in right now, being tranquil and silent and reflecting on all your thoughts. It's each piece talks about, just enjoying the little things in life and not taking anything for granted. So that's what my MFA show was really about, was bringing all that together.
How many pieces did you have? Did you have, and can you describe it? I know we're kind of talking here, but actually, let's tell the audience your pieces are on their way to New York.
Yes, they are. They are being shipped off by then. Well, today is the end of this week, but they should be shipped off today to New York, Jamestown, New York, to the Roger Tory um, Peterson Institute, and they'll be there from October, no, July until September, I believe. Um, so the institute there is really a nature preserve. So it's
Oh,
talking about this continuation and the relationship humans have with nature, which I think falls in line really well with my work. So I think it's going to be really nice. I am flying out there for the opening, so that's going to be exciting.
wow.
Never been, so I'm going to go visit the Niagara Falls while I'm there, so that'll be fun.
Have some more inspiration.
Yeah, so it's exciting. I haven't really been out of Florida and Tennessee, so it'll be good to travel around and see what life has to offer, you know? Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, so at the exhibition up there, is it like? I'm not familiar with this place. What are they going to be doing for is it a museum or what exactly? How are they going to be displaying your work?
Um, from what I understand, it's not a museum. It's like a institute, a nature preserve. People go there and visit, and they can look at different botanical gardens and stuff like that. It's more of like a place of education, kind of like Vizcaya, I guess you can say.
Okay.
So they do hold exhibitions, but none of the art is for sale per se. It's just more about bringing to light the environment for its viewers and educating them on what they can do and stuff like that. And they're really adamant about highlighting artists that talk about nature in their body of work. So, um, I don't know. I'm excited to go visit the place and see what it's all about. It looks really nice from what I've looked at on their website and talked to the people there. But we'll see.
So this is your first major exhibition then?
Outside of FIU,
Yeah.
a major, yeah, I'm sending all the books there. So
Oh,
it's been an adventure, even trying to figure out how to send them. So
oh, I bet.
since they're so delicate, they're made with, organic materials, books, everything is super fragile. So I had to make custom packaging for every single piece and figure out okay, how can I make sure that it doesn't move while it's in transit and not get demolished? So that's been an adventure, but it was fun. So I made all my packaging from recycled cardboard boxes and it was an experience. I got some battle wounds from the hot glue gun and stuff, but it's okay. I think they're gonna make it there in one piece. Fingers crossed, but we'll see.
So, well, that's true. So you had I guess the master's degree students have their MFA show at the Frost Museum at FIU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, tell us more about that. How did you get all that together? How many pieces did you have?
I had a total of 6 books that I made. So I've named the series Forgotten Chapters because the sculptures are made off of upcycled and vintage books from God knows when. So I do read the books or skim through them just to have an idea of what they're about. And sometimes the books do relate to the sculpture itself, and sometimes they don't, which is fine. Um, I really think having the book as the base of the sculpture is important because we're talking about things that are from the past. We're bringing back to life the forgotten objects, Um, so there were 6 pieces in total, and each of them kind of told a story. And I hope that in all, I mean, it was an installation, so I hope that my whoever viewed the installation really felt like it was a magical place, and maybe they resonated with one piece more than the other. But it was beautiful, and I was showing with Emma Ortiz. She's my fellow MFA graduate, and she had the whole other side of the room, and her work was really beautiful as well. And again, it we named the show Echo. Me and her settled on that title, and we settled on it mainly because we kind of feel like although our works are very different. She works main it works in oil paint on unstretched canvases, but she we kind of like draw our inspirations both from nature. So we're a little bit echoing each other, and we've always been there throughout our whole MFA so far. And it was really nice to like kind of close that chapter of our book together. So, it was nice.
Oh,
It was
that
beautiful.
that's nice. Like, yeah, like
Yeah.
out of the yeah. Okay. Well, we'll have to. I know that they're on their way to New York.
Yeah.
So we'll tell everybody they got to go to your Instagram page. We'll put a link down below.
Yes, you can see lots of pictures on my Instagram page, or you can visit my website, brandilong.art. That has a lot of good information on there as well. But yeah.
So they'll have to go do that. So, but this is nice because we get to actually like talk with the artist, because many times you go to a museum and you just go through and you look and you don't get to like hear like what your intentions were.
Yeah. Sometimes that's part of the allure of art, I think. The viewer has their own interpretations. Sometimes it's better not to know as much information, depending on the artwork at least.
That's true. Now, would you? Okay, well, before I go forward, tell me like pick one or two of your favorite pieces. I know it's like your favorite child, and
It
I
is.
love books. It is. It always is. Oscar Ray Pitt's my favorite child. I love books too. I mean, that's why I liked it because I got all my books.
Yeah.
And my podcast show's about books, so I was like, I really gravitated towards your work. I'm like, oh god, this stuff.
Thank you.
I would love to, when I get my landscape architecture studio one day. I'm gonna commission you
That'd be
if I can afford
awesome.
it. It was just beautiful. So pick one or two of your favorite book stories and tell us a little bit more detail about it.
Okay, so my number one favorite out of all the pieces I made for my show would have to be Real Happenings. Um, it happened to be the last book I finished because they always say your latest work is your favorite work. It's true because you always think your best work is the last one you did. But that piece in particular, it's a small book about 4 by 3, and it's super thin. It's called Real Happenings. That is the actual title of the book, and I just love the title so much I named the piece that. And it's a cream color book. It's got these beautiful little scalings happening on it with some gold leaf. And I decided to uh, have the book inspire me about bumblebees. So I wanted it to be really monochromatic and organic and feel very timeless and almost ethereal in the end result. So I made honeycomb onto it. I wanted the honey in the honeycomb to look like liquid gold, so I used gold leaf, and I used a lot of dried flowers for the first time in my work on that one, and I used actual bees. So there's actual dead insects on that piece. They were sourced ethically. Don't worry, they're from a sanctuary. They do die naturally, so I'm not gonna lie, it was a little weird working with dead animals. It did give me the heebie-jeebies, but the end result was beautiful. And I think it was really important to use actual insects because it kind of talks about this timeline of our life cycle and how we're here, but we're not here forever. And I really love this quote. I forget who it's by, but find time for stillness because breathtaking moments arise in tranquil spaces. And I feel like this piece in particular completely embodied that quote. Like it came together so easily and beautifully. Like that piece is near and dear to my heart.
Oh, say the quote again. I'd like to hear it again. That was really nice. I
Yeah.
like that.
It's find time for stillness because breathtaking moments arise in tranquil spaces. And it's by Kendra Swartz Pepper. And it's just a beautiful quote.
Yeah, that is. Okay, well, go back to your first, since you did your last piece. What was your first piece that you put together for your MFA?
My first piece I did was called Our Changing Fisheries. I do actually have this one still here, so I can show it to you for 1 second. My chair all the way. So this is the piece, and it's a book. It's actually titled "Our Changing Fisheries," and the title of the book really inspired me. So I really wanted to make this like jellyfish type netting coming out from the bottom of it,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and it has a lot of like, so there's this netting on the inside. I don't know if you can see very well, but it's supposed to resemble like the swarm of fish being caught inside the net. Um, like remember that scene from Finding Nemo where all the fish get caught in the fishing net and Dory just keeps saying, "Just keep swimming down, just keep swimming down." And that's what inspired me to do that. And then the top I painstakingly cut into the book with an X-Acto knife to create these like different levels of depth of the ocean because I wanted to symbolize the ocean inside there. And then I sculpted this little boat to be the fishing boat, and it's netting everything, and it's an extension of what's underneath. And so inside the net is actually not just fabric, but I have hooks embedded into it and found plastics and a lot of different fiber work going on. Um, this was a painstaking process, this little guy right here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you put that down, then I want to ask you some questions about it.
Yeah, of course.
How long how long does it take to craft a piece like that? How many
Ah,
hours? I mean, from start to finish, you found it, you got to think about it, and then you got to start working it.
yeah, so I was really inspired by the artist Stephanie Kilgass. I'm not sure if you've heard of her before. She she recently started working on books as well, but her main body of work is finding like found objects like water bottles and stuff, and she sculpts clay onto them, really bright and um, I don't want to say loud because loud is the wrong word, but it's really bright and fun, and you wouldn't think that coral and animals onto these found water bottles, and they're really beautiful and cool looking. You should look her up if you have a chance. But I've been inspired by her for many years. So when I found the books, I was like, I love the title. I think fibers and books work so well together, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know. Sometimes inspiration just hits you, and you just have to run with it.
Yeah.
You know, like I have a series called Plastic Landscapes, which I embroider on plastic bags, and literally the idea just popped in my head, and I started making them, and they stuck. And I love doing them. It's a great way to reuse plastic
Yeah.
bags that we get every day in our lives. So that was a fantastic thing for me to discover as well. But as far as time wise, each piece is different. Um, so that one in particular took me a really long time, especially because I would not recommend it, but don't use an X-Acto knife to carve into a book. It does cause permanent nerve damage in the hand. Yeah, my whole thumb was like numb and tingly for I want to say 2 months from using the
Wow.
X-Acto knife. So if I were gonna do that again in the future, I would use a Dremel. But but yeah, each piece is different. I would say the that piece in particular took me I want to say 2 to 3 months to make. And
Wow.
that's not like continuous time, obviously. That's on and off daily. But because you sometimes it's good to take a break from a
Yeah.
piece just to get some perspective. Um, so I mean I would say 2 to 3 months, but I obviously maybe had a week or two in there where I kind of put it aside and let it sit for a while. And I was like, what does it need more? Does it need less? I think a big part of being an artist is knowing when to stop.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can overwork a piece really fast, and once you overwork it, it's hard to go back, you know? So I think it's really important sometimes to take a break, and if something's bothering you after your break, then yeah, you can fix it. If not, then maybe it's time to stop.
Well, that reminds me of a quote from Coco Chanel, and
Mm-hmm.
I came across it, and it was she said, "Put everything on and then take one thing off."
Okay.
So
That sounds about right.
you can put everything on, then you kind of look at it and go, "Yeah, that just need to take that off."
Yeah.
Of course, that's easier than a book like that. You're committed.
Yeah, that's another thing. Sometimes once you put things on there, you can't take it away. So sometimes you have to know, okay, I'm gonna put this here and it's gonna have to stay here.
It's going. Well, I think that's an important point too, because I think that non-artists look. You make it look so easy, and it looks so beautiful. It's like you it just went together like magic. And it's like, no, these things really take a lot of time,
Yeah.
thought, and effort,
I mean, I think
and hours.
that's what I feel like a lot of non-artists believe, that it's just like, oh, it's so easy. You just say you're painting, you just go, it's done. But no, I mean, yeah, I mean, it can be easy once you're an expert at your field, but I mean, each piece for me is a whole learning process. I'm not gonna lie. Each piece is a whole new adventure. I have to figure it out as I go with every single piece. Um, which again is part of the process, you know, you're constantly learning, constantly evolving, and I do make mistakes sometimes, and that's okay. Sometimes the mistakes are happy mistakes, as Bob Ross would say, you know, happy accidents. And sometimes those accidents make the piece. And yeah, I
While
don't
you're
know.
doing it. Now, do you have a few paintings there? I see you have something started in the background, and you have something maybe you can show us
Yeah, I
and
have a
talk.
piece started in the background. It's just a sketch. I haven't gotten around to starting it. It's
Well,
just a
it's nice
sketch.
because you could.
I don't know if you can
Oh,
really see anything on there,
I
but
see a person.
I tone the canvas. That's the first step, toning your canvas. It's important. But I do have some other pieces here.
Well, that's okay. I think that it's important to see, yeah, for non-artists too, that how you get started. Oh,
Yeah, so this one was another piece I had in the show with Professor Chang at MBIS. And this is titled Walk on the Wild Side. Um, and this was done in the last figure class I had with him. I really wanted to like expand on my own work, and I really wanted to look at figures in a different way. And it was really important to me to kind of, because I really love texture, which I think is why I lean more towards mixed media in the first place, is I like the lushness and like the feel of all these different textures, right? So with this piece and the rest of the series, I wanted to like create this three dimensionality, which I don't think you can see on
oh,
video.
yeah, I could see just a little bit. It had a little bit of texture, like lifted
Yeah.
up a little.
So I
Yeah.
used a lot of mainly palette knife on the piece to create. So in person you can see all these different, each individual piece of grass and the flowers, and it's super textured and lush. And I wanted to kind of do self portraits with figures, and you know just jazz
Bring
it up a little bit.
it up a little bit. Oh, I like that. Walk on the wild side.
Yeah.
That's kind of a common phrase now, but yeah. But I like how you took a new you took a new twist on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
titles are really fun for me. I love titling my works.
well, I like seeing that painting in the background too, because for non-artists or when you get started, it's like,
Hmm.
where do you start? Like how's your process?
I mean, I think
Um,
every artist starts differently. Like I know a lot of artists who don't even sketch. They just go in with the paintbrush and they go at it, which is great. If you have the ability to do that, that's awesome. I wish I did, but I don't. So I have to do a little light sketch beforehand, and then I can start filling it in with paint. But it's a process. Painting is it's super fun and I love it. It's a mess, but it's great.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. This is a good one. What is one of your all-time favorite pieces from any time, painting, mixed media, that you've done that you're just like really proud of or just
Um,
drawn to? You've got so many pieces. I know I've seen your shows, so
yeah, there's a lot of work I've done. I would say my most proud piece would be it was in my MFA show as well, but I did it a few years prior. So I made it in 2019 and it's called Among the Leaves. And it was my first book piece I ever made that it was on a little vintage butterfly guidebook that I found at Goodwill one day, and it was just so cute. And I really wanted to highlight the leaf-winged butterfly that's native to Florida. It's actually endangered. So it was the first time I not only used the book, it was the first time I made a mixed media sculpture. It was also the first time I incorporated organic materials into my art, which because I used actual leaves to make the butterfly. Um, so that book, I feel like, really was the start to me going into a different route with my practice. And so I'm really proud of the book because it came together really well. It looks beautiful. It speaks about something super important. Um, it's a really great piece, I think, anyway.
you like. I think I've seen that. I saw that. I think on your Instagram.
Hmm.
Um, Let me ask you now. One of the question I have, maybe, and not artists too, or I'm just a baby beginner artist. Um, how long does your pieces last? Now they're made out of organic stuff.
Hmm.
How are they meant to last? The materials.
I mean, everything degrades over time eventually, even paintings, if they're not properly kept and stored. However, I mean, they've lasted thus far. I mean, only time can tell if they'll fall apart or not. Um, but like I've been using dried flowers recently in my pieces, and it's been about 6 months to a year, and they still look the same. Of course, they're still super fragile because they are dried flowers. Um, but I think so long as everything is stored at the proper temperature and everything, they'll last a really long time. Sorry, that's my dog
It's okay. Free to include him in the interview. We love
chewing out
pets.
there to go run. Um, but yeah, I mean, I there's only time can tell how long they'll really last. Um, like my plastic pieces that I do on plastic bags. This one I've just started, so it doesn't look like anything, but like I feel like those will last forever, right? They're plastic. Um, my books and my organic pieces, I'm not sure how long they'll last, simply because if they're kept in a bad location and bugs get into them, then of course they're going to get eaten alive. But if they're kept in a nice sterile place, then they'll last a long time. But you know, you never
I have
know.
a question. It says a contemporary artist.
Hmm.
So it kind of sounds to me like it's almost like, are you going to, like environmental art that people do, like out into the landscape, in a landscape? Do you think that it, documenting it over time and how it degrades, is that going to be kind of like its own process art too?
I think so. I mean, I've already experimented a little bit with putting my installations out into nature. I have a piece called Plastic Bloom that you can view on my website. And they were these jellyfish that I had made out of recycled loofahs, plastic bottles, and garbage bags.
Uh-huh.
And I took them out into the mangroves while I was out kayaking one day, and I hung them up there, and I documented how they interacted with nature. And it was a super fun experience. It was really cool to see my art
Yeah.
outside of like a gallery space. So it was super fun. But again, I've had this question brought up a lot, like what would happen if you left them out there? I mean, the only way to find out is to do it, right? So yeah, I think documenting something like that, I do think they do it already because there are environmental artists that do art out in public places. But I think it would be an interesting process to see how something breaks up and breaks down over time, especially like
Yeah.
objects that are made of non-organic materials, like plastics.
Like plastics. And yeah, that could be a whole interesting thing in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me see. There's my cup of coffee, my cup of tea. Do you have your cup of tea?
I do.
I'm black tea today. What are you?
I'm black tea as well, but I do have milk in there.
Mm, I have a little bit of sugar. I like a little sugar. Brandi, it has been a delight to have you on the show and to learn really a lot more about your artwork.
Thank you.
Even though we spent time in the studio, we all got separated during the pandemic.
Yeah,
Um,
it was
and
unfortunate.
yeah, so we had to do the best we could do. Well, let me ask you, what exciting projects are you looking forward to now? After you've achieved your goal, you've got an MFA. What is your next big adventure?
Well, I mean, now that I'm all said and done and graduated, I do feel like there's a lot of pressure to kind of figure it out on my own, right? Um, but hopefully in the future, I want to continue working professionally as an artist, of course. I do have that exhibition coming up in July at the Roger Tory Peterson Institute. I'm continuing to apply a lot of different places for exhibitions because I want my work to be seen. I'm working on continuing my series of both plastic landscapes and the forgotten chapters. And I am working on trying to do more installation works because I feel like that's a really exciting experience to do, like immersing my viewers into an environment that's something I really want for for everyone. Like I want you to be enthralled and stuff. So hopefully that happens in the future. I think it will. You got to speak it into existence. Law of attraction, right? Um, but and then hopefully I'll get into residency. I really want to. I've been applying to a lot of residencies. There's one in particular that I want to apply to. It hasn't opened yet. It's in the dry tortugas. You go spend a week out there by yourself in the middle of the ocean. Um, I
I've
think
heard
that
of
would,
that.
yeah, it's through the National Parks Association, and I think it would be so cool and so fun and an amazing experience, especially since my line of work is in line with nature and being in a meditative state with it. So I think that would be fantastic if I got it. But hopefully, when it opens up and I apply, I can get it. Fingers crossed.
Yes, that's right. That's in the Florida Keys. I
Mm-hmm.
saw. Yeah.
I visited there once before on like a day trip, and it's a gorgeous place. But if you get into the residency, they have like a house out on the lighthouse, so you'll actually stay in the lighthouse out there for a whole week by yourself, completely off the grid, nobody around you. I don't know. It's weird, but it sounds amazing to me. So
I think that sounds awesome. As long as I can have my cup of tea, that's
yeah,
that's all I require.
super important, super important.
Oh, well, this is great because, this is a nice interview to do, at the start of, a professional artist's new career.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
hopefully
you're
in a
just,
few years I can come back and be like, hey, this is what I've done.
yeah, that could be a really interesting series because, our podcast channel is kind of getting started too
Hmm.
and developing. So, yeah, we'll have to have you back on in a few years and going, hey, update.
Yeah, that would be so cool, like a little anniversary.
Yeah.
That's
And like, hey, I've
awesome.
done this. And I think too, what I like is that, and I think about Professor Chang's that, you could be a successful professional artist and do it.
Yeah, there, anybody can. You don't even need the education behind it. Anybody can be an artist, no matter who you are, no matter how old you are. It doesn't matter. Just make art, be passionate about it, keep trying, work every day towards your goals, and eventually it will happen. Yeah.
Well, I think so. That's what really inspired me about the meeting all of you at the academy and stuff. It was like I came in, as you know, with no drawing skills. I could barely
Oh,
do a
you really improved the whole time you were there.
I really love being around all of y'all. It was so inspirational, and I just kept working at it. Just keep working at it. You could do it.
That's
And
all it takes.
I was like, I think I like going over here.
No,
This is a lot of fun.
it is a lot of fun.
Well, Brandy, you've been such an inspiration today, and we'll say au revoir for right now.
Thank you.
And I'm excited about your journey, and we would like to connect back with you at a future anniversary to see what's happening.
Yep. You guys can keep following me along my journey. Not necessarily on here, but you can follow me on my Instagram handle, which is art_belongs, or on my website, which is brandilong.art. I try to post daily, at least on my stories, just to see what I'm up to. Stay in
And check it
touch.
out.
Yeah, check it
You'll
out.
be the future 3D Monet.
Oh yes, that would be fantastic. I love Monet.
Me too. Okay, well, thank you so much, and we will check back and chat with you again in the future.